Everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm joined today by my good friend and co-host,
Geoff Blanchard, and welcome to this week's edition of Tech Down Over.
and in that center position behind the curtain, we pull the curtain back, and there he is, Harold.
It's Harold
He's
again.
joining us. So anyway, big week in tech. Apple announcements.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but of course they don't do, which I'm really happy about. They didn't do any new iMacs because I bought an iMac last Christmas or December, so I was quite hoping they didn't replace it yet. But they didn't do any iMacs, did they?
No, but they did something very, very odd. Harold, do you have a picture of the Apple Mini that's back?
Yeah, so we've got the Mac Mini 2018 here.
Now, it's about the same size as the old one.
But they've put in a much more powerful processor. I think they've put in a
Mac Pro processor. So this is actually faster than your iMac nowadays. And this is bizarre. This is bizarre. It's faster. It's got up to 64 gigabytes of upgradability. And it has more SSDs, and you can always add a RAID set of drives to this externally. It's got 3 Thunderbolt ports instead of the iMac's 2. This is a very bizarre Mac Mini. We're trying to figure out why. What are they doing? Does this mean they're going to get rid of the iMac, or they're replacing with, I don't know. It's weird. Nobody can figure out why they did this. And it doesn't look like they changed the internals that much, so you're still going to have a loud fan when it gets hot, and it gets hot a lot. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, what did they do? What do you think they were trying to do on this one?
I don't know, but the thing is like a lot of people that don't like the type of all-in-one thing with the screen.
Yeah,
they like the performance, and so that'd open up a big market for people. So, I like the Mac, but I want to put two 40-inch monitors on it, or 2 different ones, and then they've got the same sort of performance. And like you said, it still gets as hot and just makes as much noise. The all-in-ones still, you think they don't do as much as they used to, but still they can when you're doing a lot of video editing. Every now and then you can hear the fans churning up. But if you're that worried, you go for the the iMac Pro, which is
which is way over, but it's way overpriced.
Way over. But even then, that Mac Mini, I nearly got a shock when I was listening to one of the podcasts talking about it, and they maxed it out, and that was coming to over $4,000.
Yeah. But that's if you buy all Mac or all Apple memory and SD, because the Apple memory is 4 times as much as what you get out there from anybody.
Now, can you? That's the thing I didn't know, but he said, can you open it up and put your own memory in it?
Yes. Yeah, that's why everybody's
happy.
happy. It's totally upgradable. You can put SSD cards in it.
If you buy 8 megabyte of Apple memory, that's the minimum you can get, and then for say $400 max it out rather than $2,500 for Apple memory.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, for this one they're saying you're supposed to be able to upgrade it to max 64 gigs of RAM.
Which would be, they said this is going to be a great video workstation. You go video. So, it could be they're just deciding the iMacs are too, like you said, too much of an all-in-one. If anything breaks on your iMac, you're hosed. You're done. You can't fix the monitor. You got to take everything back in. And and we had the experience, the little, when you move it, that little flexible part that they have in there, it's plastic that holds it in place. That breaks a lot. And we've only had one break, but that was a $650 repair for a stupid 10-cent piece of plastic. It's like, why are you making it plastic? And they do it on purpose because then it breaks. It's just wonderful.
And the thing is, like you were saying with that Mac Mini, if you got your own screens, like the thing is with Mac, some of the time, your machine can keep going and going for many years, but it's just the screen might not be any good. So these would be quite, because you can say a lot of the things that the technology, the actual CPU hasn't changed much, but you want the better monitor. So it might be quite a good move to get a few more people on it. But it's the sort of thing, if that was out then, I would not have upgraded to the new iMac. I would have thought, I'll get one of them. Because then I can use my Windows machine, 2 screens, have that, and just have that plugged in.
You can use a good TV as a monitor.
Because I still like to have a Windows machine. I love my Macs, but I would never just abandon Windows, because you've got to, if you're anything in any of this industry, you've got to be proficient in both of them. You've got to know what to do in both formats.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. So it was an interesting, Apple never talks strategy. They just come out and said, we have come up with the latest. It doesn't mean it's new. What I love about, somebody was saying, it was Juan Carlos Bagnell. He goes, Apple doesn't innovate. They watch everybody, then they come out with something that everybody else has done and say, look, it's brand new and we did it better. But they don't. They just claim it's better. Did you hear what they did with the Apple Watch, iWatch? They came out with that new phone release, and supposedly it kind of killed a whole mess of watches. They don't work anymore, so they're trying to fix it now. Do you have an iWatch?
I do, yes, do have.
Did you have any problems with any updates? It wasn't for everybody, but some people got hit hard by that one. So nobody's testing, just like Windows. If you've noticed lately, Windows comes out with releases no longer once a month. Now it's more like every week or every other day. And they're always breaking things, like audio drivers.
Did you see one of the big things that there's a bit of controversy about? One of the latest updates actually deletes some of your information.
That's right.
So what it does, if you're the sort of person where it says the standard default for documents is documents.
Yep, that's me. That's us. We change them all the time because you don't want My Documents on your C drive. Because your C drive fills up.
If you move it off your C drive like everybody else does, you do that, but you leave something in your documents because you leave your to-do things, or you'll probably still leave some quick to get out of it. But if you move that, what it does when you do an update, it deletes whatever's left into My Documents.
Yeah, they fixed that already. It was just a one-time thing, but it did hit a lot of people. And we've been doing that for years, and we don't move it just by copying. You actually have to go into it and then say move, and then it moves it. It's got a routine to move your My Documents to another place, and then all the registry entries, everything now points to the new place. So some idiot programmer who tested nothing goes in and screws it all up, and you just go, oh, what is wrong with these people? They're making too many changes. They probably have way too many people in these programming teams, and they're not checking with each other, and nobody's QAing it, kind of like Adobe Captivate and all the other Adobe products. They're not tested as well as they used to be because they don't know what testing is, basically.
I was listening to one of Leo Laporte's podcasts on that, and one of the things they were saying is that Microsoft had a whole range of testers, but they've put them off. And now it's just the insider group, the ones who do the beta testing for doing it. Whereas they said the ones when you have proper testers, they do all these scenarios like they'll do this. I said, well, why would you do that? Nobody does that. Yeah, but people do. And that's what they're tested to do. Whereas a lot of the standard users, like we get stuck with that as well. You test something and you think, you never in a pink fit press it, do it this way. I said, no, you wouldn't. But people will. But what happens when you do it that way?
Yeah.
And that's the. But I must admit, this day and age, no matter what you do, I've done that before. You get something, test something in a test environment, works perfectly.
Yeah.
And so much going on these days, you just don't know. You can't possibly test it. And then until you put it live, and like people say, "Oh, you keep," so well, you'll be there forever. Nothing. It will never be right.
No. Now, last week I was telling you how much I love my Apple iPhone.
No, we hate it this week.
I don't hate it. Actually, I still think it's a good phone. So I'll give Apple credit. It's a good phone, but I found the ecosystem clumsy. I wound up having to do a lot of steps for my email, for this, for that. For example, in the Apple email, they let you see all your folders, but you've got to scroll for weeks. You can't put them in any order, which I can do in my Android with different apps like Aquamail, which I love. But like, for example, to do this, and show the hour on my screen so I can see it whenever I want. I can't do that on the iPhone. It's all icons. So my iPhone would look like this. But I didn't want it to look like that. I wanted it to look like this, where I can move things, and I couldn't still. And that's what Juan Carlos Bagnell was talking about, because I was watching his review, and I was going, I'm not alone. He's agreeing with everything I'm thinking. And if you're interested, Juan Carlos Bagnell did a review on the iPhone XS or the XS Max. They're basically the same. And he had a very honest review about what things that he liked and didn't like about the review, and things that he felt Apple was very disingenuous with, like charging $1,200 for a phone that is no faster or better than pretty much any other phone out there. The camera is about equivalent to other phones, not better, not worse. It's a good camera, but some of the software is not as good as it could be in other software. So there's a lot of things that you either have to accept the environment totally, and I didn't, or you just have to move on. And I think I mentioned to you, I had 4 iPhones, and I had the original one up to the 4S. And then they got so small and skinny, I didn't like them anymore. They were too small. I have big hands. It was like, and then when the iPhone 4S Max came, I didn't buy it for me. I mean, 10S Max. I bought it for the company to test. It was an expensive test machine. And then I said, I like it. I'll keep it. And then when I started working with it, I liked it. But within about a week, I started grumbling and complaining. And finally, I heard Juan Carlos, and I go, okay, it's not just me, and I am having an issue with it. I like the phone, but you have to really like it. I think I'm so used to Android now that I like that flexibility of just doing whatever I want to do. I want to look at all my icons. I just do that, and I can go to all my pages, or I can just move them onto the screen. So things like that are things that I missed, and this still has a button. They'll probably get rid of it next time, but I like having at least one physical button, though I could live without it.
And then it's exactly as I said to you, I think in one of our communications, as I said, it all depends what you get used to. Like that's what I went over to Android, and that's what I hated about Android, was all the things that you love. And so, because I like all the folders and all the things, but that's what you love. And as I said, there's horses for courses, and that home button, I don't know why I ever had it used. I'm so happy with not having it.
Yeah, you don't need it.
And once you get used to it, and I find I'm doing less touches on the screen than I did on other iPhones, and that. But the thing is, I've got the 10s, not the Max, but I went from an iPhone 6 Plus, and so I see the huge difference in the screen. But one thing I've noticed, which I'd never realised, because I've never been a person to use a phone one-handed. I always picked it up and done that. But the 10s, I'm actually finding I can do things. I'm using one-handed because I can get round better, but still having the quite sizable screen. And I thought, hang on, I've never done that before. But it's making it a lot easier to use. But I just like the screen. That's my main thing. But I don't think I'm a real huge phone user with all the different things on it. But hey, I think the Apple said last week you spent an hour and a half on your phone last week. I thought, that's good. That's all.
Oh, that
that's all.
FaceTime or something. I find that irritating. I find that irritating. It tells me you spent this. I go, I don't care. Leave me alone. You're not my mother. So
I'm amazed that they would even put that on as a default, because you'd think I'm using this too much if it said you spent 40 hours on your phone.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You think you'd want on there as much as possible.
So I'm happy. So it's funny because Leslie took my Note 9. I took the iPhone, and the Note 8 Plus, or the Samsung 8 Plus, just went in a bag. So then yesterday we did our own changes. So she gave me the SIM card. We did this. So I got my Note 9 back, which is only 2.5 months old. And she got her 8 Plus back, which is about a year old. That was my old 8 Plus. And the iPhone went back to Verizon because, being business customers, we have 30 days to turn it back in, no penalty. So I didn't lose a penny for a change this time, which was nice, because otherwise I would have been going, we would have kept it probably. So, hey, Harold.
Yeah.
We've been talking about toys. Now, I did get this. This is the Rode Video Mic
The MEL?
MEL for lightning. Now this runs on an iPhone. So for example, on Geoff, you could use this on your iPhone, or it runs on an iPad or iPad Pro. So I'm going to keep this one. It's only like $50 or $40, but it sounds good. And then I know you got one of these recent. You didn't get this one. You got the DJI, I think it's S?
Yeah, the Ronin S. The
Ronin S, I'm sorry. Yeah, by DJI. And we got the, let's see, Zhiyun Crane. This is the one that will hold our size DSLRs, which is, it's handheld, and it doesn't weigh that much, actually. And it will hold, the Panasonics, the Canon EOS R, and the smaller ones, the 50s. So this is for the kind of mid-range DSLR that's probably not with a battery grip kind of thing. And haven't tried it yet, but we'll do that next week. We've been really busy this week.
I said the only thing I don't like with that one is, and a lot of the others have changed. Is that one there? When you're holding it there, you cannot see the screen, whereas all the others offset it, like the Ronin S and all the other newer ones offset it. So when you hold it on there, you can't see the LCD screen without.
Are you sure?
Because the motor gets into the way on that one. Whereas there's the other one. There's the I forget all the later ones don't do that, because that's what the big thing with the Ronin S. So I hold that up, I can see the screen. The motors are not in the way. And
that's sort of dumb.
The others
can't see the screen. You can't see it at all?
Even if it's flipped out?
The motors are in the way, so you really either have to flip the screen out and balance it on it, which causes more, or put a monitor on the top.
Oh, how weird. Okay.
But that's one of the things with those, just that offset thing. But I think they do a newer one with that, because there's a few new ones that I'm sure that was still.
Well, this is the new one. This is the new one that just came out.
Oh, okay. Well, that must be the.
So I'm not sure. I haven't opened it yet. So we'll let you know next week.
Yes.
And then we did get the small one, the Zhiyun Crane Smooth 4 for the phones.
We don't have it with
we didn't bring it in today. I opened it up, but we haven't yet figured out how to use it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because before I put a phone on it, I turned it on, it starts going da 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 da. I was like, whoa!
Yeah, you had a little bit of an adventure with it.
It just went crazy. I was like, ah! It's like it was fast. It was going back and forth. Da, 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 da. Ooh, stop! I did not expect that.
I did something silly. I did with my Ronin S. I picked it up by the top instead of by that when it was still on, and then the handle started flipping around like a helicopter. Because I thought, oh, that's stupid.
Did you notice how fast those things move?
Yeah, they do.
I was shocked.
Oh, it's a horrible noise. So just make sure you switch things off before you start.
Yes,
them off the ground.
A very good point. Yeah, so it's sort of funny. You have some pictures of that one, right? Or did you show them?
But the good things with there's a whole heap of different ones out there, but they're all do. It's like I was just saying for the iPhone. There's not one that says, "Oh, go get the Ronin S. That's the best one for everybody." Well, it's not.
They're all good. Yeah.
Like the Crane as well. I think you get a bit more control. Like you can.
That's the only thing. It has more buttons, and they said that's good. I mean, I don't know. We'll let you know once we start using it. I know Darren Miles convinced me about this one because he's the one who was running the reviews on the Zhiyun, and he's now representing them. He really likes it. I don't know. The Osmo was pretty good. I was comparing these to the Osmo, and I didn't see that much of a difference in terms of they have more buttons, but that means you have to learn more. You just have to play with more different buttons. But they seem good. It's very similar designs for locking and unlocking. So I don't know. Do you still have your Osmo?
I still do, yeah, but that's a good thing because it's small and easy to take around, whereas those ones are a bit more awkward. You've got to do the setup on. But, with a lot of them you're saying with all the different buttons and you can change a lot more, I find, well, when you've got it on the gimbal, when you've set it up to film something, you usually don't care about setting anything else on there. You've set it through the camera anyway. So I don't find, unless you've got somebody you're doing it and somebody else is controlling it remotely or something, but then that's usually done through an app. But I've actually got for mine, I got a carbon fiber extension pole.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
It's like a big jib shot. You can do things like that, just do it up and down like that, and it works really good.
Does it feel pretty stable when you do that?
I was quite surprised, and with the GH5 on the end of it, and that still, I thought I could lift it up, but it was, as I said.
Now, did you do it with or without the grip?
With the grip, yes.
With the grip,
because that was screwed onto the end, and that was screwed on the pole screw, and then the feet screw onto the end of that, so I had even longer, so I could hold onto the bottom part of the grip.
That's
and
really cool.
It was quite good too.
How much reach do you get with that when you've got that extension on there?
Oh, well, it'd probably be about 2 meters. I think it's probably
that's
about
pretty.
So it is like so with your height and everything, you're almost at about a 3-4 meter jib.
And then, and also as well, if you're holding it, you can have somebody on the iPhone or Android controlling the camera.
Interesting. Okay.
Somebody do that, so somebody holding it while somebody else is controlling the way it's going. So I thought for something like that, so cheap relatively for what they used to have to do it with, it just opens up things the likes of getting above a lot of crowds. Even with the Osmo, I've got a similar sort of 2 meter pole extension. I can put the Osmo on.
That's pretty
pull
good.
That out, but I tend not to connect the phone to it. I just point it, because I figure with the phone, I know I'm just pointing it in that area and getting the thing. The only problem with that is whenever I record anything, the files, when I download them, all say they're recorded on the 1st of January 2014. Because it doesn't pick up the date off the iPhone to do it, so everything's 2014.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's funny.
I didn't have the different folders, but I just have to remember that the metadata says it was the 1st of January 2014 every time.
Funny. Every time. That's funny. Now, have you heard the latest? Let's see. First, it was the guy from the Vlog, V-L-O-G. It's called the Vlog. I forgot his name. But he said Micro Four Thirds is dead. Within 2 years, they'll probably kill it. And then here comes Tony Northrup saying 2 years or so, Micro Four Thirds is dead. Then I'm going, interesting. I don't know if they're just analyzing themselves or trying to create a meme, but you're going to hear more. I bet you in the next month, everybody will be saying Micro Four Thirds is dead. And that's only because Panasonic's going to come out with a big, full-frame size camera, which is going to be heavier and bigger, more like a regular DSLR. But you know, it's interesting. I don't know. It's one of those I've been thinking about going, why would it be dead? It's still smaller, good, it's clean, and in many cases it competes as well or better than its bigger brothers or uncles in cameras. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, to me, and it doesn't worry me. I bought a Micro Four Thirds for what I need it for. And the likes of me and you would never upset us, because we'll be fed up with it no matter what we've got in 2 years' time. and we tend it. Tony was saying, the price of resale won't be any good. Well, we never usually do that too much anyway. We keep them or put them in a drawer. I still had my first Canon camera and never got rid of that. So, and that's why when you're buying a camera, you get something that suits for what you want at the time to do. But one of the things I was agreeing totally with Tony is saying that's just their speculation. But he said, like any of the companies, you just never know. It's all to do, if they're making money out of it, they can do, that would be fine. But no company's going to say, well, we've put this one out and we're going to can this other range that we've got hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock of still, and we've still got some new development we've got in the pipeline, but we're going to kill that. So would anybody buy that? It's like with the motor vehicle. They keep them quiet. You know, there's a new model coming out in 2 weeks' time. It's twice as good, half the price.
But they're not going to tell you that. In fact,
so I agree. And I said, I agree. There's people do that to you all the time. How many times have you gone back to say, hang on, nobody supports that anymore.
No.
They just kill. You just one day it's working, and the next day, oh no, we don't do that anymore. But
well, you remember, I think it was about a year ago, maybe two, Sony came out with the A99. And it looked like a beautiful hybrid mirrorless, non-mirrorless camera. It was a combination of both. It looked like the perfect camera. It was gorgeous. It was big, took beautiful pictures, beautiful video, sort of, because the video was very limited. It did what the engineers told it to do, and it wouldn't let you do anything. But you do hear about the A99 anymore? I think what they had is excess A-mount inventory. They came out with the camera, everybody bought it, and then they killed it. It almost feels that way because you don't hear a word about the A99. And then they came out with the A9, which is a totally that's the NX A9, and you just go, what happened to the A99? Gone. It's the same idea. So people who just bought it a year ago are probably going, you know, and like Tony Northrup said, Samsung had that beautiful NX camera. It was a really nice camera, and they killed it. But they never officially killed it.
No, that's right.
It was a beautiful camera. I don't know why they killed it. But Tony said one thing that made sense. This is the future of small cameras, our phones.
Definitely.
I mean, these take such good... And you can buy a small lens that gives you a wide screen and looks really good. And, you know, Moment has very good lenses. And for $100, you get a lens and now you've... But these cameras, if you look at this, I'm going to show you something. So here, I'm looking at you as you're looking at me. I don't know if you could see that. It's pretty bright with the light on it. But this is I was taking some videos in the office yesterday. They're sharp. They were really sharp. And you go, wow. And this is just in a simple camera, which has a lot of features. I think I might get Filmic Pro. It's an app that makes it almost like a mirrorless camera. And you don't have to worry about focus. They just focus perfectly.
Well, I bet you if you had two of those on a tripod and did a video shoot and just did the sound, recorded the sound separately, and didn't say anything, you said, look at this on my new full-frame video camera. How is it? Oh, fantastic. And I bet you could say that and say, gee, that's great. And they said, no, it's just on my two Samsung Android phones. But sure, I think in the studio, the only thing that lets those things down is like in a studio, when you've got proper lighting, it doesn't like it. Right. Because it tries to compensate. It's too bright.
Yeah, it's too bright,
Which is the normal that you can set manually, but because it wants everything right. If you just did a normal office lighting, it works perfectly. Just don't put proper lighting in, and it seems to do better.
Although that doesn't mean that if they wanted to, they could add in modes to let you set everything. They just don't necessarily, if they really wanted to move in,
well, they do have modes. If you go to the advanced modes on these cameras, they have a lot of different things.
Yeah, you can do. But as I said, if it's what people, the perceptions of what people have. Because can you imagine going out doing a corporate video and you just roll out your phones out and on tripods? But if you stuck on a big camera and it had an insert, and just say the insert just had an iPhone anyway that was doing the recording. Yeah. That's fun. Look, professionals have got big cameras.
Just come out with a cardboard box painted black, put a little silver trim on it, and just put the the iPhone or whatever phone you have right in that hole, and just say, "What is that?" Oh, this is the Blackmagic Design Ultra camera, and they'll go, "Wow."
I'll tell you one of the things we're going back with the saying about e-learning. There was one of the supermarket companies here that they had a whole new point of sale changeover. So they thought they had 40,000 people had to train within 2 weeks. And so how do you do that and what do they do? So what they did, they actually got an iPad, put this training on it, but built a box around it, turned it into like a Space Invaders machine. But the thing was with their point of sale things on there, and gave like Angry Birds, done like that sort of thing, where the more you scan, the faster you scan, the better you got, the more points you got. And they stuck it in the staff room, and they got everybody in the company to do it, but the app, which was times the average time, because the next person had to beat the other one by scanning. It was such.
So now that's gamification at its best.
That was it. It was just put in the staff room, and they didn't tell, but they had to do it. People said, you got a higher score than me. But I thought, that's the thing, whereas if they just said, like the camera, here, go and do this e-learning module to teach you how to, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they couldn't access different things unless they scored a particular, and the work colleagues were saying, I've got higher than you, so it was just one of those.
That's funny. That's good. Yeah.
But that's it's hard, where he was saying it's that perception of you tell people to do something that will help you out, and you don't want to do it. If it's something it's just a game.
In that Kevin Siegel show we did yesterday on eLearn Chat, there's one part where he's talking about this Christopher Columbus game that they were giving him. So he gets in this game, and the goal is you have to go to the New World and do this and that, and you have to go hire a crew. So he navigates to the bar, finds 6 sailors or whatever, takes them on the ship, and they kill him. And he goes, that was the end of the game. They just killed me. And he goes, he didn't check their back. And then it said, you didn't check their backgrounds. They were assassins and murderers, so they killed you in mutiny. Oh, that was funny. And he goes, that was the end of the game. I hated that game.
At least it taught you when hiring people, make sure you know, or else you are dead. You're dead in the water. Maybe not like that, but as I said, you're your own. Put it that way.
But that was hilarious. So, yeah.
No, but as I said, all these things, as I said, there's so many different brands out there, and they come and go. And as I said, I agree with all that Tony was saying on there. It might not be, and as I said, it still is a damn good format. They use it a lot, but it will only die when, and usually these things die because everybody says they're going to die, so then people stop buying them and they die. It's like, the Betamax, wasn't it there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was the best. That was the best format. The only thing killed it because people said it's dying, and so it died.
It died.
It never got up.
Well, I'll tell you what really killed it. I had a friend of mine who used to work at one of the retail remember when they had Rent-A-Video? They're all gone now, except for maybe one or two. Rent-A-Video. You can't go rent a video anymore. You just go online, get Netflix, and you're done. But it was funny. One of the guys I knew who was a video guy, and he worked in retail. I forgot the name of the store. It's been so long. It wasn't a big chain. It was a smaller video chain or video rental chain. And he said, you know what really killed Betamax? And I said, no, what? He goes, they didn't have enough porn movies.
Well, that probably
and you know what?
And
I was going, why? And he goes, so he showed me, he goes, look in this. They used to have those curtained rooms. You remember that? And you'd go behind the curtain. That's where they had all the porn movies or the adult movies. There were none in beta. They were all VHSs. And it's hilarious. I go, I never thought of that. He goes, that's the real truth of what happened. And, he may be right. He may have been right because he saw it in the rentals. Because
so if videos were out these days, they would have won because they could get everything they want off the internet.
Online, yeah. So you just go, that's funny. I never thought of that. And
even in the early days, even normal videos, because they never seemed to have as many. Even if they had the latest releases, they had 2, whereas VHS 2000. So
I know.
Yeah.
It was
also the other thing Sony didn't do was they didn't come up with a small Betamax player. They were all huge. They never came. They were all I'm knocking everything over. They were all about like this big and that tall, whereas the VHSs were small by comparison. That's another thing I think that made them sell better. They fit better in your cabinets or in your stereo rooms or wherever you put them, whereas the other one looked like one huge Singer, sewing machine box. It was enormous. And so you do wonder, what is the reality? Why did they really go under? It could be no adult pictures or too big a size. And Sony didn't push it. They just didn't fight that fight, and Panasonic won because they really created VHS. So, and it is funny when you think about Panasonic And everybody says, well, they created micro. My Panasonic has always been one of the top leaders in video, period. They were always very good. Yeah. Did you have the Panasonic camcorder, or was it a Sony?
I had the first Sony
the big Sony.
Beta
yeah.
Before then, Panasonic came out with the M1 with the first VHS tape, because bigger, because they had to take the big one. Then they came out with the VHS-C, didn't they?
Yes.
Which was a VHS cut down into a little box. Then you put it into a adapter for the big one, so you could get the much smaller cameras on that.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it just. Then all of a sudden you just see things when technologies go, they kill them. But it's like with technology there's so much innovation out there, but it's all got to do with standards. Like people say for music and all that, they've got CDs, they've got the technology there where they can sell you, the whole collection of music on the thing the size of your thumb. So, but there's nothing. It will cost you hundreds of millions. They said, but it's that standard. The like CDs are still round only because they've been going for so many years that they're too scared to change that standard. But when somebody's brave enough and says, "Okay, I'm doing that," but they better have enough money to be on their own to do it until people adopt it.
Yep, that's interesting. Well, guess what, guys? We are at the end of the time. We're actually a little over. It went fast, really fast.
Always doesn't get
Harold was almost quiet today.
Yeah.
He didn't say much.
Word in that part.
Couldn't get a word in. but anyway,
I was here in spirit.
I think that's right. I think in the next several years it's going to be interesting to see where the camera industry goes, because most of the DSLRs or the mirrorless cameras are really kind of more camcorders than they are cameras almost. Especially the ones that do video, like the Panasonics. They very much act more like camcorders in a lot of ways.
Well, and I think part of it is just because of how phones have kind of pushed into the camera market, it's pushing other camera types to be kind of jack of all trades sort of devices where they can do everything too, because phones can do photo and video, so now other cameras have to be able to, so that it'll compete with what people will actually take with them and figure, well, this is actually useful to me because I can use it and get better footage, better stills than with my phone. Whereas if it can't, then they're gonna just use their phone.
Yep, it's going to be interesting, because I think in another 2 years, some of these camera makers are going to try to figure out where they are, especially with the smaller camcorders. I asked somebody at Best Buy the other day, how many are you selling of these small cameras? They go, not much. Not much. They sell a lot, but not like they used to, because people buy phones. So they said the same thing, and that's just one store, not far from where we are. So I think that's a trend that we're going to see more of, and the phones are only going to get better on the cameras. One of them came out recently. I forgot the brand. 6 cameras on the phone. 6. That's a lot of cameras. It has 6 built-in cameras, and they work together to create different scenarios or scenes of what it could look like. It's pretty interesting. A lot of phones, a lot of cameras. Anyway, for you folks watching, thank you much. Subscribe. Say hi to us. We need subscribers. We want to get to 1,000. We've been on air for 32 years, and we don't have any subscribers. And we know you watch because our views show more than what we have subscribed. So please do us a favor. Subscribe. It helps us out. I don't know how it helps us out, but I think it allows us to do things later on YouTube that we can't do now, whatever they may be. Anyway, Harold, Geoff, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see all of you next week on Tech Down Over.
Bye for now.
See you, everyone.